bien sûr, on a des cassettes à écouter. On fera ça dès qu'on sera en mission. Hop, on valide tout ça. Gestion de la base. Ok. Bah écoutez, j'ai envie de dire let's go. Alors attendez, juste avant, on peut voir mission secondaire si on n'a pas les soldats errants là, quelque part. Non, vous voyez que... On va voir. Ok. Schoolface. Schoolface a occupé le bureau d'études secret soviétique chargé des armes OKB 0 et a lancé son projet en phase finale. Empêchez le déploiement de combat de l'arme bipède, Silent Tropis et vengez-vous de Schoolface. Allez, c'est parti. Ah, attendez, je vais faire écouter la cassette de briefing avant.
We've managed to put a stop to any new vocal cord parasite infections. We couldn't save those already symptomatic, but everyone who survived has been released from the quarantine platform. Skullface will pay for this. Boss, Emmerich confessed. Skullface's endgame is to activate the bipedal walking tank Sahelanthropus and deploy it into live combat in Afghanistan. That's why he moved into the Soviet research facility they call OKB-0. If his plan comes to fruition, there'll be no stopping the ripple effect worldwide. Find a way to make contact with
parce qu'on
Skullface
rappelle,
before that happens. Then learn what you can from him.
Attendez, j'attends la fin de la cassette.
We'll have our fun with him later. This is it, boss. Diamond Dogs is strong enough now to face him head to head. It won't be like 9 years ago. Make your way to OKB-0.
Donc ouais, je disais, on rappelle, Skullface il veut détruire toutes les langues du monde entier grâce aux parasites, sauf l'anglais. Voilà, il veut un petit peu, tu peux répondre ça dans le monde entier. Et donc il faut l'arrêter. Allez. Voilà, on va remettre D-Doc, je pense que c'est mieux. On va laisser le bazooka. Puis après le reste, on est bon. Allez, ça de nuit. Et on est parti. On est parti. C'est une grosse mission là. Là, on est parti pour vraiment une grosse mission. Qui va être bien compliquée encore. Là, plus on avance dans le jeu, plus les missions sont de plus en plus dures, hein, ce qui est normal. Skullface. Et donc on est de retour aussi en Afghanistan, oui, c'est fini l'Afrique. Ça y est, c'est fini.
The research facility Emmerich was talking about is north of the Soviet base. That's where Skullface is keeping Sahelanthropus before setting it loose in Afghanistan. There's a good chance he's got nukes too. Boss, we need to figure out what Skullface is up to. If you make contact with him, get him to talk.
Hey, ils ont même amené Hilai.
Sahelanthropus. Find out what his plans are. Skullface's plans are on the verge of fruition. We need to stop him while we still can.
La musique elle est tellement stylée. Vengez-vous de Skullface. On pourrait croire que c'est la fin du jeu, mais non, pas du tout. Pas du tout. Allez, go. On est parti. On va peut-être dû prendre un véhicule là par contre. Tant pis.
To isolate the facility, they first spread reports of a chemical weapon leak. The infection won't spread into the surrounding regions. But still, I think they just exterminate the men who worked with them all this time.
Ah, ils ont buté tous les mecs qui étaient avec eux, quoi. Tous les Russes qui étaient là, ils ont répandu le parasite, hein. On va extraire ça. Arme repérée. Il y a des trucs à prendre. On prend. Métal précieux. Ah voilà, c'est ça qu'il nous faut, nous, surtout. C'est ça qu'il nous faut, du carburant. On prend. En fait non, c'est mieux qu'on ait pas pris de véhicule. Vas-y, une connerie. Comme ça au moins ça nous permet un petit peu de prendre ce qu'il y a au passage là. Et en plus il y a un hélico de combat. Non, il est tombé en bas. Et regardez-moi cette grande base. Hein.
Boss, I'll be focused on coordinating backup here in Mother Base. The chain of command is still in place. If you have orders, give them through Miller as usual.
Rip l'oiseau, on va pas le chercher.
Is in OKB-0. Start by making contact with him. The facility itself is under the control of XOF, Cypher's Strike Force. We have no hard data on their force strength, so your judgment in the field will be key. Boss, we're finally here. Find Skullface and take everything from him.
Il y a un soldat mais on peut pas le marquer, il est trop loin. Mais ouais, il va y avoir plein de soldats ici. Hein. Ils seront bien équipés, ils auront ils seront blindés avec casque et tout là. Ça va être compliqué. Ah oui, les cassettes, c'est vrai. Parasite des cordes vocales.
About the pathogen spreading through Mother Base. You've seen everything we've got on the outbreak. What's your opinion?
Textbook symptoms
Je trouve que c'est un
of
diamant.
vocal cord parasite
Pas du tout.
infestation. And judging from this casualty list, it is the Kikongo strain. Meaning, XOF has occupied
C'est un snipe ça.
Skullface must be close.
Il y a un sniper. Il y a même des walker gear. Hein.
Quite so.
He's right. All the victims do speak Kikongo.
So they can survive if they just use another language.
Il a repéré une mine en plus.
You're only dealing
Là.
with the Kikongo strain. Other language strains may be present. You well know he was teaching them languages from all over the world.
The Devil's House. Nzoya Badia Bulu.
There is no way to know how many strains he has at his disposal. So how do we keep them from becoming
Je vous dis que ça va pas être
symptomatic?
simple.
You mentioned
Vous
using
voyez là. Hein.
microbes. Use this. The type of Wolbachia. Introduced to a sample of the parasite.
Wolbachia.
A parasitic bacteria that colonizes the parasites, turning male to female and preventing copulation. You must cultivate more. What have you done with the infected bodies?
Cremated to stop the spread of infection. But we did keep a few for study.
Good. Take this sample, grind it to a pulp, and introduce it to the larvae now nesting in the dead. The Wolbachia will multiply rapidly within those larvae. They're soldiers, not some petri dish. Conventional cultivation.
Merde, il y avait une autre mine. J'ai pas fait gaffe.
Extract the Wolbachia from those larvae and vaccinate your men.
Ah, attention qu'il n'y en ait pas une autre encore.
This is the fastest,
Putain.
surest way.
J'ai pas fait gaffe s'il y avait d'autres mines. Je suis débile.
Of
Ah,
Kikongo
une mine là.
until the
Je vais marquer les mines. Hein, parce
are
que...
safely inside them. I
will instruct your medical staff in detail on site. You have the appropriate
Ah, j'ai été
facilities.
débile là pour le
Yes,
coup.
but do not worry.
J'ai
I
vraiment été
made a
débile.
pact with your bête de Rolone. On the honor of the dîner, I speak
Là
no
comment il
lies.
parle. Côte
Keep
le
an
con.
eye on him.
Will do. Follow me. I'll take you to the medical team.
Now, we must wait for the Wolbachia to multiply in the larvae.
How is the disease transmitted? If it's carried by insects or rodents, then...
There is no intermediate host.
So...
The vocal cord parasites lay their
Ouais,
eggs
ça sert à rien que
in
j'utilise
the
mon petit
larynx
pistolet là, ils ont
of
des
the
casques.
host. Most hatch and migrate to the lungs,
Ça ne sert
but
strictement à
some
rien.
are transported to the mouth through ciliary movement. Mixing in
Ça, par
with
contre ça va nous être
saliva.
utile ça.
Saliva.
Ça va nous
Droplet
être utile.
transmission.
Sneezing, coughing. Any food or water containing infected saliva.
Je sais pas comment m'y
It would
prendre. Hein.
spread fast.
Indeed. And when the larvae migrate to the lungs, symptoms can resemble the early stages of a cold, making it easy to infect others.
Meaning a simple conversation would be enough to pass it on.
Alright, so what happens after the larvae migrate to the lungs?
It is as I
J'aurais dû
said
laisser mon
before,
snipe.
they mature by feeding on alveolar tissue.
Parce que là,
It is only then that noticeable symptoms appear in the host.
And by that point, it's too late. He's infected everyone else. It's one hell of a weapon you've created.
That is what Blag Anna wanted. Something that would spread easily. In truth, he's not the reason. But we will discuss that
non, va pas sur la
another time.
mine.
The Wolbachia
Bouge
have
pas, bouge pas,
multiplied.
bouge pas.
We're preparing to extract them and begin vaccinating. But is this really the only way? Sure, it'll prevent infection, but the cost?
You would rather remove their vocal cords?
No. Tactical communication's the linchpin of what we do.
What if we were to ban the use of Kakongo?
Insufficient.
Là normalement il n'y a pas de mine. Hein.
First, there's no guarantee that only the Kikongo strain is
Se
here.
casse.
Second, there is the matter of how the parasites lay their eggs. Before they can copulate, they must be exposed to the pronunciation of a specific language for a period of time, like a container filling with water. But the duration between when the container is full and when the copulation actually begins varies from case to case. In other words, even if the infected stop speaking as a countermeasure, it may already be too late. The only true solution is to prevent copulation through the Wolbachia, or by physically removing the affected tissue.
Do any anti-parasitics work?
It sounds as though you have already tried.
Yeah. We tried every one there is, and nothing.
I have yet to find a medicine that can
Ah, commence à
remove the
s'amuser.
parasites. At best, it temporarily covers their ears,
Why is that?
because the parasites are companions to us. To remove them inevitably harms the host.
Companions.
More than you think.
Celui qui va
And
venir.
this is why the human
Ah, par où tu
immune
passes?
system cannot
vas-y,
eliminate them.
Vas-y, approche-toi. Non, D-Dog, casse-toi. Hop. Bien sûr, on pourra pas l'extraire tout de suite, lui. Je m'attends là sagement, en espérant qu'il se réveille pas. Qui va venir? Ok, c'est lui. Et merde. Je pensais pas qu'il allait me voir. Ah, du coup, il va venir me voir. Non, c'est bon. On va se les faire comme ça. Est-ce que je prends le risque de les extraire ou pas? Je me dis qu'ils sont assez loin là, les autres, ils les verront pas. C'est bon. C'est bon, c'est bon, c'est bon. Alors on continue. Et on continue les cassettes aussi. Ok, c'est lui qui arrive. Du coup, on va pas bouger d'ici. On va s'en faire quelques-uns comme ça et puis ensuite on ira. Parce que là, il y a beaucoup trop de monde là, c'est chaud aussi. Dis donc. Arrête de rester dans leur champ de vision à chaque fois. Ça m'a fait peur. Je pensais qu'elle allait poursuivre D-Dog ou je sais pas.
Without knowing. CP, this is Zulu 2. Stuck to their shoes, clothing.
That makes the most sense to me. And where did the eggs come from?
You mentioned that your boss visited Nzoya
Fait peur lui.
Sure, but his gear disinfected immediately
Casse-toi.
upon return.
Putain mais D-Dog, arrête de me suivre.
Then he was not the carrier.
And not just the boss. All staff did.
Ouais bon bah. Hein? Écoute.
Risk regions were quarantined on the flight back. When the symptoms first appeared, we checked and disinfected all equipment used up to that point. Any and all prisoners, soldiers, materials, and animals extracted during missions were also quarantined.
So, that just leaves.
I have seen children around here. Where are they from?
Ouais, c'est mieux de faire ça de nuit parce que de jour ça aurait été encore plus compliqué. Hein. On aurait vu à 1000 mètres les gars.
Yeah. Their clothes, their things. Did you burn them?
They're just kids. We couldn't. And besides, not one of them's shown symptoms.
Subject on board. Leave the rest to us.
Their vocal cords are not fully developed.
Well, if infection doesn't occur in children,
it is possible they carried eggs on their clothes, and the infection spread from them.
check the kid's stuff.
I doubt there is any trace left by now.
But if there is, some of those kids must be close to hitting puberty. How could we have missed this?
Investigation has turned up a whole lot of nothing.
Then name Voici got quite a reaction from you. I'm
Ouais,
guessing
désolé,
the
ça parle à travers la
Congo
cassette.
strain was released in that
C'est
village.
chiant. Ça c'est chiant, à chaque fois vous avez pas les sous-titres, mais bon.
Experiment with vocal cord parasite transmission. The Congo strain. The settlements around the refinery upstream of Voici were the proving grounds. They would infect one villager, then record transmission speed. Dangerous work. If they failed to contain the infection, it would slip into the surrounding regions.
At which point the world found out about the parasites, making them useless as a weapon. Incredible they'd risk such a thing.
The test site was densely populated too.
T'es pas ouf toi.
A terrible place for such experiments.
Ah, il y a une tempête de sable qui arrive.
No doubt.
Ça faisait
They
longtemps,
thought
tempête de
burning
sable.
everything would wipe away all traces. The settlements were covered in oil anyway. Who would wonder if one
Je sais pas où est-ce
day
qu'on pourrait le
they
cacher.
caught fire?
Enfin, on peut pas trop le
And
cacher.
so it did. They burned it all, living and dead.
On va le mettre là.
Those remains.
But they miscalculated. Transmission speed was far faster than anticipated. It may have been the temperature, or hygiene standards, or perhaps the parasites reacted quickly to Kikongo. Whatever the reason, nearly all villages were swiftly infected, and the settlements reduced to mounds of corpses. Making matters worse, the dry season was ending, and it came time to
Je
burn
pense
the
que celui qui va
village.
venir.
The Moneni River had swelled. Many of the bodies were waterlogged.
Ouais, c'est
Meaning they
lui.
didn't burn completely.
The corpses still contained viable eggs, and the larvae washed downstream. And when the people downstream drank that water,
That marked the end for Voici.
I learned all of this at the mansion. I warned him of the risk of eggs getting out, and we are prepared for any eventuality.
I get it. Putting the oil field back online. The oil leaks, saner. They plan to pollute the river.
C'est
Prevent
pas
the
ouf.
spread of infection.
But the oil flow was stopped, and downstream the people of Massa village started using the water again. The PF soldiers deployed at the village were locals, spoke Kikongo. They were infected, and the kids survived.
I've heard enough.
And who stopped the flow of oil?
Don't.
We did.
That confirms it. The source of the Kikongo strain infection was Massa village. And the children brought it here. It is no one's fault. There is no blame to be cast.
Alors, on se fait un petit dernier.
They were tested in other regions.
Their physiology requires that they be tested under varied conditions. Another test site was in Afghanistan.
So it was the parasites there.
Both the Pashto and Tajik languages are
Okay, like
spoken in
arrive.
the mountains of Afghanistan, and population density is low. Ideal testing grounds for how accurately the parasites target only the specified language. It is also relatively easy to prevent the spread of infection.
And the results?
The first test, I am told, was a success. Once the Pashtun Mujahideen were infected with the Pashto strain, they were all but wiped out.
The Hamid fighters at Smassé Fort.
It was doubly successful. No Tajik Mujahideen or Soviet soldiers became symptomatic.
So the parasites proved to be effective. What about the second test?
Also supposedly a success. A Pashtun village was the target. However, the original aim was to obtain samples of the infected. In this, they failed.
And the village?
The Soviets
He's coming too. Roger that.
Earth operation.
That must have been the village where Malak lived, before being held captive at La Marquette Palace.
Having had more time to think on it, the details shared with me may have been false.
seem to like tossing their problems in the fire.
As a boy, Skullface's life went up in flames. Perhaps that is what fuels his fixation with fire.
Your Wolbachia stopped the infection all right.
Pas évident lui.
But I still don't get it. How can a few bacteria change males to females? I know they're only bugs, but
it is not such a rare thing in the natural world. Many insects and nematodes are infected with Wolbachia.
But why?
Allez,
They nest in
il
the
est temps de
cells
rentrer à l'intérieur.
Extract him.
even in the egg cells, with the result that the offspring are born.
On va rentrer par la grande porte. On va
Mother
essayer
to
d'escalader un
child
petit peu.
transmission.
However,
Non.
Wolbachia cannot nest
On va
in
faire
a
ça.
sperm because they do not have cytoplasm. So even a successful infection
Peut-être
of a
retirer les
male
mines aussi là-bas. Et les
ends
enlever.
after a single generation. This means the Wolbachia
Les plantes là.
must resort to maximizing the population of infected females.
Sounds like an ethnic cleansing
non, bouge pas.
campaign on a tiny scale.
Bouge pas de là. Fais pas de
From
conneries.
male to female is
Soit
their
par contre.
survival tactic.
So more females means more Wolbachia carriers, so it can keep thriving in the following generations. But the parasites in a human host are supposed to be a mating pair. If there's no male, there'll be no offspring at all.
Voilà.
It's killing itself.
Slow down. This tactic is intended for environments where a single male can copulate with multiple females. Originally, the Wolbachia did not infect the vocal cord parasites. I created a mutated strain, modifying the Wolbachia so that
Good work. 2 more gates to go.
pairs
Still all quiet as a silo.
multiply.
No sign of Skullface.
Arrêtez de
or
parler.
Surely they can't already have... No, never mind.
Just as you said, the male to the Wolbachia.
It's killing itself.
Slow down. This tactic is intended for environments where a single male can copulate with multiple females. Originally, the Wolbachia did not infect the vocal cord parasites. I created a mutated strain, modifying the Wolbachia so that it could infect monogamous pairs. The Wolbachia's greatest
Ah, je vous ai dit, c'est très grand. C'est pas fini encore.
the male to female change worked against itself in the monogamous parasites. Just as you said. Then I performed repeated selection of Wolbachia strains until I achieved 100% certainty of male to female conversion.
Creating female-female pairs. Unable to reproduce. And you say the Wolbachia affects the
Sur les
host
personnes
of the
dedans,
host,
heureusement.
that is, us, cutting off our means to reproduce?
It is almost certain. Of course, we will not turn female. After all, mammals possess no natural gender-changing function. But some Wolbachia strains can cause cytoplasmic incompatibility in the host.
Is that some cell deformity?
Put simply,
Voilà, si j'avais le snipe.
it means the altered
Bon, il aurait
sperm
fallu
of
2 balles à chaque
infected
fois.
males
Mais au moins,
kill the
ça aurait été
female's
pratique, je
egg
pense, le snipe.
on contact.
And
Ça aurait
that's
été
happened to
pratique.
us.
Yes, and yet, what occurs in humans is not just simple CI. To date, there are no cases of Wolbachia affecting humans. The fact that this strain causes this effect, is it the vocal cord parasite's affinity
Vocal
with
cords,
humans?
parasites.
I do not know enough to say for sure.
So the parasite warps the host. Reminds me of what Skullface said.
It is the way of all organisms to create their own optimal environment. Just look at you and this space. Organisms that cannot do this are doomed to extinction. The difference with parasites is that their environment is another organism. that creates a connection between life and life. Parasitism, symbiosis, or death. In this way, the host too is challenged to adapt.
Vas-y, viens, copain. Je vais t'entraîner dans un piège. À l'abri des regards. Ah ouais, préviens si tu veux. Vas-y, viens. Allez, dis Doc, pars-toi, hein. C'est pas le moment. Là. Viens. Voilà. Ok, il y a des caméras. Merci. Oh. Alors la suite. Je vais passer de l'autre côté, je pense que ça sera mieux. Il faut vraiment prendre son temps cette mission. Pas se précipiter. Faut analyser les déplacements de ses adversaires. Lui, dès qu'il revient, je me le fais. Lui. Dès qu'il revient, je me le fais.
OKB-0 Emmerich was talking about. Its location and features match the citadel in the mountains northeast of the Soviet base camp. Built during the time of Alexander the Great, it was left in ruins following one of Genghis Khan's campaigns. Its occupants changed time and again due to war, and it was expanded on more than one occasion. Ultimately, it fell into the hands of the Soviet philosophers. The Soviet army was using it as the headquarters of its Afghan invasion force. But it would seem that Skullface's connections with the philosophers gave him license.
C'est pas grave. Hop.
A philanthropist there. And that's what Emmerich was doing at the place, before he got the axe. But OKB is a designation the Soviets use for weapon design bureaus. There's no way they'd have one of those in Afghanistan. And in principle, the numbers that follow OKB are always integers above 1. There is no 0.
You gotta extract him.
Perhaps this was a secret facility of the Soviet and Chinese philosophers dating back
Les autres, je
prior
prends
to
pas le
World
risque.
War II.
Les autres, je prends pas le risque. On va monter ici, prendre de la hauteur un peu.
It doesn't go there often, but he sure as hell won't miss this. They use the heliport on top of the tower for his visits. Start by heading for the heliport.
Il y a encore un truc là-bas si on veut
to make contact with Skullface.
On verra.
It seems Sahelanthropus's armor is made from depleted uranium. That offers some serious protection. The US military is planning on using it for its main battle tanks too. Maybe that's where Emmerich got the technology.
Uranium. They're using nuclear fuel for armor now.
No. What they use for nuclear fuel is uranium-235,
Sur l'hélico
which is
aussi, pas l'oublier.
extracted from natural uranium. Depleted uranium is a byproduct of that process, sort of like the leftovers, I guess, the garbage. Uranium-235 makes up 0.72% of natural uranium, whereas depleted uranium contains only 0.2%.
What are the benefits of using it for armor?
It's a pretty short list. Uranium's a heavy metal, like lead, meaning it can hold a greater amount of kinetic energy.
C'est juste pour
But it
passer.
also boasts a hardness closer to tungsten. That makes it an ideal material to use for, say, armor-piercing ammunition penetrators. But it's not the best choice for armor. Its volume is less than that of ceramics, but for an equal weight, you could end up with less protection.
So why use it
Parce
then?
que lui il va me voir. Hein.
According to Emmerich, it came down to him being unable to source ceramics technology from a manufacturer. Plus, given that it's an upright walking vehicle, he wanted to reduce the bulk of certain areas. Despite all that, depleted uranium still makes for some tough armor. And Emmerich says it's been proven in live fire tests. It stops most
D'abord que je me
Soviet tank
débarrasse de
shells.
lui là, mais c'est chaud. Ça va être chaud. Au pire, je vais lui... Merde. Au pire, je vais faire pareil que l'autre, je vais lui tendre un piège. Je vais essayer de le faire venir ici, sauf qu'il y a ses potes. Là. Ça va pas être simple. Ça ne va pas être simple.
Go, Duggar. What are the metallic archaea?
Volcanic craters spewing sulfur. Water hot enough to boil your skin off. Ocean depths of 800 plus atmospheres. Wastelands radioactive enough to kill you where you stand. There are groups of organisms that survive despite. No. Because of living in such environments.
I've heard about them. Extremo something.
Extremophiles. By selecting certain species, then subculturing and repeatedly modifying them, I created a metallic offspring of pure archaea. They subsist on metals rather than organic matter.
And some of them even consume uranium.
Yes. Uranium enrichment archaea
Ah oui, ben voilà.
metabolize only uranium-235. As a result, they produce weapons-grade enriched uranium.
How is that possible?
Consider how plants fractionate carbon
Qu'est-ce qui branle?
isotopes. When they
Viens
conduct
voir, t'as entendu du bruit
photosynthesis,
Putain, mais...
nature
débile.
possesses abilities beyond
Il est vraiment
our
débile. Hein.
imagination.
So it was archaea that brought down your chopper?
Corrosive
Ah,
archaea.
génial.
Yes.
Génial.
They oxidize metals, feeding off the energy in the electrons they receive. What became of the wreckage?
We had the R&D team retrieve samples for study in airtight plastic containers, of course.
Prudent. We shall extract archaea from it in good time. They should help you fight back against Black Ops.
Mais qu'est-ce que tu fais là?
Start now. It doesn't have to be a lot. I might just have another use for it.
If it's only a small amount you need.
That's fine. I'll get the R&D team to assist. Let's go.
South Africa was previously suspected of developing nuclear weapons. It already had a conspicuous presence in the UN because of apartheid and its armed expansionism. But when neighboring
Génial.
Angola and Mozambique became socialist countries in
Génial.
subject on board. Leave the rest to us. So it accelerated its nuclear program to protect itself. 3 years later, the Soviets discovered a test facility.
Génial.
And 2 years after that, an American satellite observed a flash in the southern Indian Ocean. It said
Il
this
fait
was
jour.
South Africa
Génial.
conducting a nuclear test with the help of a certain ally. Skullface used the situation in South Africa to get this ally to lend a hand. They both wanted nukes, so it was a mutually beneficial relationship. On the surface, anyway.
I figure South Africa started getting serious about nuclear weapons production in '75. In '74, the government was still able to get by with bluffing that it had a nuclear arsenal. But the year after, word spread that an independent armed group in the Caribbean was crushed by Cypher for possessing a WMD.
On va attendre que ça se calme.
That's right, boss.
Putain, à cause de ce connard là, il a tout fait fort, lui qu'il aille voir le bruit machin et tout, il retourne à sa mitraillette. Désolé, les cassettes ils sont totalement niquées là avec à cause d'eux là.
If nations are gears in a machine, you had the power to smash them loose and watch the whole world grind to a halt.
Et la dernière.
Emmerich uses externally powered legs of his own design. It's bionics technology, a product of the U.S. military's failed attempt to develop a powered exoskeleton. All the wearer has to do is apply a little force, and the actuators continue the movement in that direction. But his legs are unique. Instead of using a hydraulic mechanism, the actuators run off metallic archaea. That increases the actuator's reaction speed and also enables him to lock and release the joints at will. The legs are a nifty little gadget, but they have two clear weaknesses. First, they're dependent on external power, maybe because he built them knowing he couldn't leave his lab. There's no internal battery. That's why they won't work if they aren't plugged in. Second, and this is more than just a weakness, the legs are directly connected to his bones. Could be to minimize signal loss and the order's output to the legs and the drive response from them.
Tous retourner à leur position,
Either way,
allez-y.
Emmerich has used bolts to attach load-bearing parts directly to his femurs, probably by mimicking surgical treatment for compound fractures and the like. But the end result is those legs in his body are
On a déjà éliminé
together,
le mec avec le
and that
Walter
appears to be how he's able to move them so
déjà ça.
precisely. But that also means that any shock to the legs would be delivered right to his bones by way of those bolts.
Par contre là j'ai peur si je sors qu'il y a un mec qui me repère. C'est le risque.
If the corrosive archaea ate into
On va
the
préparer ça
exposed
au pire.
bolts, they'd reach the endoskeleton parts and eat through them too in the blink of an eye. The doctor's bones are full of holes to accommodate all the bolts. They're like sponges.
Okay.
If he were to lose the reinforcing parts, even the tiniest bit of force or weight would snap his bones. So when I dangled those corrosive metallic archaea in front of him, he realized straight away what would happen. Life wouldn't be worth living if he lost those legs of his.
Tu vas faire quoi toi ici?
I'd bet that is what the doctor fears.
On a bien fait de sortir.
I just helped him imagine what it would be like.
Tu peux aller chier, c'est bon, y a personne dedans. Eh non, je suis plus là. C'est con, hein. C'est con, monsieur, je suis plus là. Viens là. Allez, viens mon pote. Pourquoi je peux pas le choper? Ok. Et merde, quelqu'un m'a vu. Vite, 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 vite. C'est pas plus mal, vas-y, viens. Viens là. Viens là. Allez, viens. Viens là, viens là, viens là. Mais chope-le. Mais non, mais... Putain... Mais à cause de ce poteau de merde aussi encore, là. Bon là vous me voyez pas avec la tempête normalement. Bon avec la tempête il me voit pas. Ok, nouveau mec là-bas. Ah, je vous ai dit, cette mission c'est horrible. Cette mission elle est compliquée. Heureusement qu'il y a eu la tempête de sable au bon moment là. Est-ce que je peux utiliser le... Ah non. Est-ce que je suis en alerte? Je vais dire le cigare fantôme, mais non, on peut pas. Après j'ai le camouflage furtif, mais bon c'est trop cheat. Alors est-ce que je peux? Non, toujours pas.
Analysis complete. Analysis complete. Analysis complete. Analysis complete.
Ça c'est bon. Ok, c'est bon. À un moment, on va pouvoir utiliser le...
Analysis complete. Analysis complete. Analysis complete.
Alors.
Some will set shortly.
Voilà. Là, ça sera mieux. On va peut-être pas tous se les faire, hein, les ennemis. Hein.
Analysis complete. Analysis complete.
Je pensais que d'ici... Oh.
Analysis complete.
Et merde, putain! Oh, j'ai une chance de cocu. J'ai une chance de cocu. Ah, il y a son pote qui arrive. Vite, extrais-le. Je sais pas s'il est bon ou quoi.
Subject on board. Leave the rest to us.
Ok. Putain, la chance que j'ai eue.
Boss, get down. That's an enemy gunship. Stay low and crawl along the ground. That should enable you to sneak past enemies.
J'ai eu une chance de cocu. Tire sur qui? Ah, sur mon leurre. Je crois. Et il tire sur mon leurre. Ouf, j'ai eu peur. J'ai eu très peur. J'ai eu très peur là sur le coup.
Caution. Sandstorm approaching.
J'ai eu très peur. Je retourne là-bas. Oh, tempête de sable. J'adore les tempêtes de sable.
The map has been updated.
On va attendre qu'il s'éloigne un peu. 80%, non, ça devrait le faire.
You gotta extract him.
The weather will clear shortly.
Je vais pas siffler, je voulais juste toquer. Ça passe. Hop.
The map has been updated.
He's coming too. Roger that.
On n'est pas trop mal.